Hey guys, Russian Rider here, and in this video we're doing a full exhaust installation on this Victory Octane. Now I'm using a RPW USA convict exhaust, but this guide should still be helpful with other exhausts as well. If you guys want to see how great this exhaust sounds, check out my exhaust sound comparison between the stock exhaust and this RPW convict exhaust on my channel. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below. Now, if you guys want to get some more information about this exhaust, I'll also leave a link to their website where you can find the pricing and other info. Overall, I really like this exhaust and it would definitely be a recommendation from me. As you see, the stock exhaust has these tiny little output holes. It sounds really quiet. So an aftermarket exhaust will sound much better and give you a little bit more power as well. As far as tools, a standard toolkit will work. I also have a few helpful hands here that may or may not make it easier to do this installation. Now I'm going to go ahead and unbox all the parts, get them out of the wrapping. RPW did a great job with a bunch of bubble wrap, make sure nothing gets scratched, bent, or damaged in any other way. Here's all the parts laid out. You want to kind of familiarize yourself with the different heat shields, where everything goes to make it a little bit easier. Now we're going to go ahead and start at the back of the exhaust, and I'm going to undo both of these bolts here that hold the mufflers down to the bracket. I'm not going to pull them out all the way because I still want it to be all the weight to be supported, so just going to loosen them up and give a little bit of wiggle room for the mufflers. Next, I'm going to unscrew the central mounting hanger and take out this bolt. The next step is to loosen up these bolts that hold the exhaust headers down to the motor. I'm not going to take them off completely yet, just loosen them up. It does take a little bit of patience to get these, and it's going to take you some time, so just take it easy and you should be able to get in there and to unscrew them. I have fairly large hands and I was still able to do this. As you can see, this one here is really a pain. You're going to have to get in there and twist the wrench back and forth on each side until you can get it off. If you have a socket with a little angle adapter, it's going to make it a lot easier, but that's not required. The next step is to unscrew the oxygen sensor. I just used a standard wrench and I broke it loose and then just used my fingers to get it completely out, and I set it down out of the way. Next, I went ahead and loosened up the front header from the rest of the system. Now this just gives me a little bit of flexibility if I need to move the exhaust when I'm going to take it off. I don't think this is a requirement, but it may make it a little bit easier for you. Now you want to go ahead and remove the bolts from the header clamps and also from the mufflers, those we loosened up earlier. Just go ahead and remove all of those so we can remove the exhaust. Now your exhaust should be kind of hanging down, and if you're very careful and take your time, you'll be able to just pull it out. It needs a little bit of twisting and you should get it out fairly easily. Once the exhaust is removed, we're going to have to remove the exhaust muffler bracket. Now I actually removed the two Allen bolts first before I broke this bolt, but you want to break that first and then go ahead and remove these two bolts that you see that have the Allen heads. Now it does take some force, so just take your time, and I actually used a little wrench to give me a little bit more power and some assistance from my daughter. These bolts do strip fairly easily, and I twisted one through, the one right here, quite a bit. So take your time and be careful, and you won't have any issues stripping the bolts. Now, since you broke this earlier, unlike I did, you should be able to remove this bolt and take the muffler bracket off. And I would just keep the bolt in the washer if you're ever going to reinstall the stock exhaust. The next step is to install the aftermarket muffler bracket that came with your exhaust system. We're going to reuse the bolts that came with the bike. Now just hand tighten this, don't tighten down all the way because we want a little bit of give when we install the muffler. The next step is to install the heat shield on the upper exhaust manifold pipe. You want to pay attention to how you install these clamps so you still have good access to them once it's time to tighten them down completely. Once you have the shield installed, you want to go ahead and put in your oxygen sensor adapters if you're going to use your oxygen sensors. If you have an aftermarket fuel system, you most likely won't need these, and you can just install the caps that close these off completely. When installing the oxygen sensor, you want to twist the sensor counterclockwise 5 or 6 rotations because you don't want to have any twisting in the wires of the oxygen sensor cable. The next step is to align the upper exhaust manifold and tighten down the bolts, not all the way, just enough to give it some support, but still allow for wiggle room when installing the rest of the system. Now I'm going to install the exhaust clamp and put the two exhaust manifold pipes together. They should have a fairly tight grip, so I'm not going to tighten down this clamp until later. At this point, I'm just going to install the other oxygen sensor and then align the exhaust header to the engine and hand tighten down the two nuts. After that point, it got a little bit too dark, so I decided to finish off the installation for the morning. That's why you see it brighter here. Now I went ahead and tightened down the exhaust clamp. I had my mounted this way and it worked out pretty well. You don't really see it when you're looking at the bike, and it's not too close to that hose right there, even though it might look like it's fairly close. But if it works out better for you, you can flip it around the opposite way to access it from the front. Now's the time to install the muffler. As you can see, I've already installed it a couple times just to test fit it before applying the muffler clamp. And that might be a good option yourself to see how far it needs to get. And then I'm going to take the exhaust clamp, line it up how I need it, and push it in the rest of the way. Now just be careful that you don't push it too far so that the bolt is going to line up properly with the muffler. Once the exhaust is inserted, you want to take the bolt, put it through the exhaust mount and align it properly, and then hand tighten it down. This did take a little bit of force because the exhaust mount, while it is flexible, it's still kind of stiff, so it's going to do a good job holding it, but it takes a little bit to get it aligned properly. I aligned it properly, and then I'm going to tighten it down. At this point, I'm going to take the muffler clamp and tighten down the connection of the muffler to the exhaust manifold. Now we can go ahead and finish tightening down the exhaust headers to the engine. The last step is to install the exhaust heat shields. Just take your time, be patient, install the clamps, and pay attention to where the clamps tightening down portions align with so that you have easy access when you're going to tighten it down all the way. Go ahead and insert all of the exhaust heat shields and tighten them down. At this point, you want to get a clean towel and wipe off any fingerprints, any oil, or anything else that got on the exhaust. Now here I'm just wiping down the heat shield, but you're going to want to do the same thing to the actual exhaust before installing the heat shields. So there you go, guys. We are all finished. Good job on the installation, and I hope you guys enjoy your new exhaust. It's going to sound much better and help your engine breathe better at the same time. Here's the RPW Convict exhaust. As a reminder, if you guys want to see my sound comparison test comparing the stock exhaust to this really great, amazing sounding exhaust, check out my channel, and in the video description I'll have a link to that specific video and also a link to where you can get more info on this exhaust. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, you guys can ask in the comments section below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on my future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.